Just give me a heads up.
And we're live.
What up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today we in the Hall of Spoilers to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths? No, Crisis on Earth X, which is just as hot on the CW, Part 1. We reacting today. DeepBoyce, I'm the Pandan Superman. You're the Gotham Knight. Why are we not on Crisis on Earth X? I don't know. I think they must have left out the invitations. You know what I'm saying? By mistake.
I mean, I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of Supergirl's episode.
Yeah.
Guys like us, guys like Guardian Jimmy Olsen, we're not very welcome on this Earth X.
That was probably the best thing I ever seen. Jimmy Olsen getting killed. I was like, finally, man. But yo, just to get some housekeeping out of the way real quick. First things first, this is just purely a reaction video. We're just here to talk. Tomorrow, okay, for Part 2, Crisis of Earth X, right? Crisis on Earth X. We'll be going live with our usual live stream, the Arrowverse weekly one-shot, where we'll do our top 5 power rankings from you know, the event, top 3 bomb asses from the event, and the one's gotta go, which means, you know, which was the best episode of the event. Secondly, if you're not following us on Twitter at Hall of Spoilers, you need to, because we're live tweeting from there. And honestly, me and DeepBoyce have been having a ball on Twitter, just joking around, cracking jokes with people. So you need to do that if you're not already. But DeepBoyce, SSL was right. Prometheus.
Oh my goodness.
It's Tommy Merlin.
Oh my goodness.
I hear the applause. Ring it. We were right.
Golf claps.
We
Golf claps.
were right.
Golf claps.
Okay, we were right. We were right. Okay.
Yeah.
Case closed. Ain't nothing anybody can say. We were right.
I mean, we're what? We're batting like 8 for 8 at this point.
We're batting whatever we feel like batting, because whenever we bat, it's a hit. We do whatever we need to do to win, man. What did you think about the Crisis on Earth X crossover Part 1? How did you feel about it? What were your general thoughts and everything, man?
They killed it. They killed it. That was great. Like, I have like no negatives. I mean, I have some nitpicks. We'll get into it, I guess, tomorrow. A few things here and there. But I was honestly surprised. I don't know if we had we talked about how we felt about this crossover coming into it with that one of those trailers that we saw that we weren't too crazy about.
Yeah, the first trailer that came out, the first official trailer that came out, I wasn't too hot on it.
Yeah.
You know, it just seemed a little bit corny. I don't know who cut that first trailer, but you know, they did it up, man. Yeah, they did it up in the episode, man. It blew my expectations completely out of the water. Like, already, like, listen, I don't know how the crossover is gonna end, but I can tell you right now, like, this is way better than anything with the Dominators. Like, this was like hands down like the best. Like, I'm like at a loss for words.
Yeah,
like, that was the best. That was the best crossover they've ever done.
It's Part 1, and it's the best one already.
That first part was better than any Supergirl episode thus far.
Any Legends of Tomorrow's episode. No offense.
I mean, that was actually Arrow's episode.
Oh, word. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But Supergirl's episode, which was the first episode, was pretty dope, man. It was fire, man. I mean, one thing I will say though is that the CG was actually pretty good too. Like, sometimes the Arrowverse is known for having some spotty CG. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you watching some Arrowverse stuff and you see something happen, you just like, you're like, that wasn't so good. Yeah. I mean, Metallo was a little bit iffy, but for TV, I was like, that's not bad. That's not bad for TV, man. But yo, SSL was right. I just want to say that. I just want to bask in that, because we were like, yo, Prometheus Earth X, our #1 pick. We did Who is Prometheus on Earth X video. Our #1 pick was Tommy Merlin. I mean, that was awesome. We got people doing a round of applause. AMJ every day in the chat doing a round of applause. I mean, also Thawne, Eobot Thawne from season 1. No, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah,
I did not expect that at all, man. That came out of nowhere, man.
So
what do you think about that?
Well, it's cool. It's cool. I have a lot of questions. I'm wondering if that's the same one from season 1. Which, I mean, he has the same memories. He recalls everything that happened. Yeah. So does that mean that he didn't die? He got sucked into the Speed Force? Is this a time remnant? Like, doesn't seem like it's a time remnant either. So I guess whatever. What's his name? Eddie Thawne, right? That was
Eobard Thawne. Oh, Eddie Thawne.
Eddie Thawne, yeah. Whatever he did to try and destroy Eobard Thawne, it didn't quite work out, I guess. So maybe, honestly, if they bring this character back to some capacity, that would be pretty dope. If how would you feel if they make him like a villain again for like a future season of The Flash? Given that we have like all this history, obviously he's gonna have to come and try and do something different. Yeah. But what do you think?
I mean, as a villain for a future season, I would be, I don't know. Honestly, I would want the I sort of want the Matt Letscher version of Reverse Flash as a villain. I feel like we've already had Tom Cavanaugh as Eobard Thawne in Wells's body. Like, I don't need to see that again. But I would like Matt Letscher to come back and maybe not be like the only villain. Maybe like a team of villains or a duo of villains on the Flash. It's just I need a break from speedster villains for a little bit. True. Because it's been. We had 3 seasons of it, and like I love my speedsters, but I mean it was a little bit, Yeah, you can't. It got to be a little bit too much.
You can't overdo it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I like that they're adding to this like back and forth, this rivalry. Like this pretty much is arch nemesis, or it could be, and to kind of add another chapter to the story, I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, Mr. BP 2001 said Thawne is confirmed a racist because he's working with the Nazis. Listen, I ain't gonna sit here and argue with that.
I mean,
I'm really not. But
he's a lot of things.
Thawne is a lot of things. And while racist isn't the first thing that usually comes to mind, there's part of me that also feels like Thawne is just working with them, just to be working with them to get whatever he wants. Like Thawne is also someone. He's an opportunist. Thawne hates Barry Allen, absolutely hates Barry Allen, and yet he was willing in season 1 to work side by side to him and come to even respect him while loathing him. Because when he sent at the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, he sent Barry a video, sort of like posthumously, and in the video he was like, I work with you, I came to respect you in a way, I still hate your guts, but I just feel like Thawne is willing to sacrifice his values to get what he needs. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a little bit tough to say like, he's straight up, a racist, but I ain't gonna make no excuses. My man's working with Nazis. Like, I can't really justify that. Screw Nazis. I hate Nazis too. Everybody episode said they hate Nazis. I do too.
If you're working with them, hey, you pretty much are them.
Hey, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, so Dr. Strangelove in the chat, he asked, how the hell did Thawne become a Nazi? See, that's something that Boyce was asking. Like, I mean, it could be a situation with time remnants. I mean, Flash was like, I saw you die. And he was like, did you? I mean, it could be a time remnant situation. It could have been a situation where maybe he didn't actually die. He just sort of evaporated into, I don't know, somewhere. But I think he did. I think that version of Thawne, I think it did die. I could be wrong about that, because the whole storyline with Thawne running from the Black Flash in Legends of Tomorrow would not have made sense. The reason why Black Flash was chasing Thawne is because he was a paradox. You know what I'm saying? Him being alive, shouldn't have been the thing. So he was chasing him. You could also argue that maybe the Black Flash was chasing Eobard Thawne because he messed around with time too much. Because he was time traveling a lot. The Black Flash kind of works with the time wraiths, if you remember. But I don't know, man. That's a question I have as well, man. But I mean, CB2198, he said Overgirl had him. I mean, Overgirl and Oliver Queen. I was like, that threw me off guard, bro. I was like, I was not ready for that, man. Yeah, I was not ready for that. But speaking of love interests, how do you feel about Olicity sort of having a bit of spotlight in this crossover? How do you feel?
A little too much spotlight for my liking. It was okay at first. Yeah. Obviously, they're main characters. You got to throw that out there. But it's like, I was watching it, and this is one of my nitpicks. And I don't know if you agree, but I felt that after they crashed the wedding, or rather the Nazis crashed the wedding, it's almost as if they were just kind of like, okay, well, we're just, just kind of just chilling at Star Labs, and we're just kind of talking about some other things, despite the fact that there are some evil super Nazis out here somewhere. Like, this is DEFCON 5 type of situation, and everyone's just kind of just having a little chit-chat in Star Labs, which part of it was the whole Olicity thing, where I was just like, man, come on, like, just you said everything you needed to say. There was really nothing else they needed to elaborate on when it came to that plot line.
Sure. I mean, I didn't necessarily think anything of it because I think in any type of, comic book story, you need some sort of debrief. And I think that served as the debrief. You don't want to go too high and heavy sometimes with, certain storylines. And I felt like tonally it was actually in keeping with the Arrowverse shows and what they normally do. Sure. Like something crazy will happen and they'll always come back to like their respective layer. Whether it be the Wave Rider, Star Labs, or the Arrow Cave, and they'll be like, "Yo, what?" You know what I mean? It'll be a situation where they just kind of have to like let their feelings out, and I didn't really mind that, too much. I mean, how I felt about the Olicity thing, I honestly thought it was not as bad as Olicity has been in previous seasons.
Oh, certainly.
I felt that I don't know how it's gonna turn out, obviously, but I feel that at the very least, at least they're like airing out their stuff instead of saying like, oh, "Can't believe you did that," and then just walking off and like not looking at each other and stuff. Like they're acknowledging it slowly without being like too over the top. You know what I mean?
I just have bad memories of the first crossover, where the whole thing about Oliver having a child, and she was like, "I'm breaking this off," but then that was shortly followed by Vandal Savage destroying everything. So I was like, "All right. We good.
Yeah.
We're good."
Yeah. I mean, speaking of relationships, though, okay, let's shift over to a better relationship and something that a lot of people may or may not have caught, which was Iris and Barry Allen getting married and a creepy waitress talking to Barry and reminding Barry to make sure to say "I do." That waitress is Dawn Allen, people. That's
huge Easter egg.
Huge Easter egg. That is Barry Allen and Iris West's daughter from the future. She's one half of the Tornado Twins, the other twin being Don Allen. I don't know if he's going to show up as well. I don't know if they're going to... I mean, I feel like they're officially going to do Tornado Twins if she's there. But, I mean, the focus on her, like, it makes me think she may either have a part in the crossover or it may be a situation where they're setting that up for some sort of future storyline. But that's pretty cool, man. I mean... Going back in time to see your parents' wedding. I mean, I don't know what the hell she's doing interacting with Barry. I mean, clearly the apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to time traveling. Because I'm like, yo, Dawn, you could be messing up the timeline right now, traveling back to the past and talking to your father. What are you doing? Yeah. But I think that's where it's coming out to. I see a couple people in the chat commenting on that. I don't know where that story is going to go, but I think it was a nice touch, man. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, if they leave it at that, I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah,
I'd be totally fine. They don't have to elaborate more on that. It doesn't have to be a huge plot point. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, given how the response people will have after the fact. Once people start, you start seeing articles and people start watching YouTube videos and hopefully Spectacular Spoiler Leaks YouTube videos where they learn this for the first time. Dawn Allen in the episode, but given how these things go with these shows, when they see kind of the hype building up and people talking about it. I wouldn't be surprised if a certain contingency of the CW fans that like the Arrowverse are going to say, "Oh, bring her back. We want the kid in there. We want the silly. Bring it."
I think she'll have a role. I think, I forget the name of the actress that they cast, but I know I'm pretty sure she had a starring role in Black Sails. Yeah. And I feel like them casting that actress was not an accident. They could have casted pretty much anybody. You know what I mean? And I feel like casting an actress, who sort of has a decent resume, I feel like there's going to be something that comes into play with that. I just don't know what yet because there's just not really that much that has been shown thus far. So it's tough. It's tough to see, man. But, I mean, some other people in the chat, let's shift gears to talk about another person in the West family, the West Allen family. Let's shift gears to Wally West, man. People are pretty tight that he got benched. I mean, listen.
I forgot about him. I mean, he came back last week. And then I'm like, who is this? I mean, he looked like Denzel in the beginning of the Malcolm X movie with his haircut and the way he was all dressed up. I'm like, I forgot. I totally forgot who this guy was. Different hairstyle. No idea who this guy is. Yeah. But, I can see how people are saying that maybe he was kind of inconsequential. Like, I don't even remember where he was kind of left off at the end of the episode.
I think he got hurt at the wedding. By one of the Nazis, but he had a dope sequence. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, considering like Wally has sort of been kind of in flux throughout the whole run of the Flash, particularly recently. Like, all things considered, I'm like, yo, he had one of the dopest scenes in that crossover. Like, he had that scene where like there was bullets and he had like some like, you know, catching bullets stuff. I was like, oh, that's kind of hot. And he threw a bullet back into one of the guy's guns. I was like, honestly, considering that Wally West has sort of been like one of those characters, and I'm like, he's kind of been a bit of a letdown. I feel like the writers don't know what to do with him. I was like, yo, I'm pretty happy with that. I was pretty happy with him getting that love. I mean, I don't need to see Wally West, you know, any further. There's so many other heroes who got left on the table for the crossover. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Martian Manhunter, he's not getting featured.
Who?
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't say that, dude. Don't you dare say that. I will fight to this camera, man. You're gonna have a crisis on your Earth if you keep that up there. I'm talking about my man Martian Manhunter, man. I mean, people got to get left on the cutting room floor. You know, I mean, you could tell by the graphics and the stuff that the choreography, the budget for this like was probably really high, and to have to render 2 speedsters. Like, I just don't think it's necessary, personally. That's just me, though. That's just me. But, yo, let's shift over to another family, okay? Let's go over to the Danvers family, man. Alex Danvers getting it in.
Golf claps all around.
Getting it in with Sarah Lance, bro. I was like, ole. I was like, yo. I was hyped to see that, man. I mean,
we were in full 2017 with this crossover. All right, we're accepting of everything now. All right,
word, man.
We good.
Man. Shout out to Barry Allen, seeing the future, because when he walked by, I almost thought he was time traveling again. Because when he walked by, he was like, he was like, I know y'all gonna hook up. I was like, Barry Allen out here time traveling, but yo, everybody's in the chat right now is hitting with the claps right now.
Claps for Alex Danvers.
That was well done. I don't, you know, it doesn't have to evolve into a relationship, but I'm like, yo, Sarah Lance, certified badass. Alex Danvers, certified badass. I mean, doing the thing. It just makes sense. It was a good look for them. I like that Alex Danvers is in the crossover. Sort of gives Supergirl's Earth a little bit more representation, and I'm cool with that. Representation in more than one way, obviously. But I mean, how'd you feel about it, man? What'd you think?
About Alex Danvers and Sarah Lance?
Yeah, man. That was
probably one of the best parts of the crossover, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it was well done, and I think a lot of people marked out, man. But I mean, we're staying on the theme of family here. I mean, let's move over to like a brotherly family, man. Tommy Merlin, Oliver Queen, reunited, and it feels so good. Back together.
Yeah.
Tommy Merlin taking some Hydra pills over here, talking about.
Oh man, eating some poison chiclets. Took himself out. I did like what they did there.
Hill Hydra, man.
He might as well have.
Man. I mean, that was a good return for him, man. Short but sweet.
Yeah. Sweet. I mean, honestly, I was kind of when he kind of bit the bullet, so to speak. I was thinking, damn, I want to see Tommy Merlin back again. You know, we talked about this before, how we want to see him come back to some capacity. You know, obviously he's still under that rubble somewhere out in Star City, dead. So I guess we're not going to see him again. But, you know, it was short and sweet.
Wow, my man said he's still – so Tommy Merlin didn't get a burial according to you? My man said he's still lying under some rubble. Why are you hating on Tommy Merlin?
Listen, you can't count on Oliver. This is like what, season 2 Oliver? Season 3 Oliver?
Come on.
He still didn't get himself together. But I think the scene that he had there was extremely effective. It was well done. Yeah. Honestly, I bought it. Where I thought, oh, well, maybe he is kind of coerced and he maybe wants it out. But then he was like, nah, I gotcha.
He was like, nah.
I'm a Nazi to the core. And he Nazi to the grave.
Yeah, you know, I thought for a second that they were going to go with that, with him being like, man, my childhood sucked being a Nazi growing up. But I was saying to myself, like, damn, man, that's a little Arrowverse corniness there if they do that, man. It's a little bit, I said that plot development would be a little too quick, a little too lucky, a little too fast. You know, it would be a little bit too convenient if you went that route. But instead, they had him be like, yo, Oliver, man, you were corn and you're soft. Okay, and I was like, nice job, nice save there. And I mean, Colin Donnell, you know, for people wondering why he probably didn't have more of a role. I think he has another. I'm pretty sure he has another show commitment right now. I always forget the name of the show, but he has another show commitment right now. So that's probably why he wasn't able to be in the crossover a little bit more. So we got what we got with that. But how about them Nazis, man? How about Oliver Queen, Supergirl or Overgirl? I mean, what do you think about that whole team? What do you think about the way they were portrayed? Did you think they did a good job? Did you think it was kind of what do you think, man?
I think they did a good job. Honestly, maybe the weak link, in my opinion, was maybe Evil Oliver. He didn't exactly seem all that different than the main Oliver, with the exception of, oh, well, I'm evil. Like he just says, oh, I'm evil, but there wasn't much of anything that was different about him.
Right.
I guess.
By the way, it was Colin Donald's on Chicago Med.
Chicago Med. Yeah. I say what you will about Melissa Benoist and her acting or her portrayal, but that Supergirl definitely seemed a lot more different than the regular old Supergirl. You have Barthon. They did the character how they're supposed to do it, but again, there's something about just Evil Oliver. It just kind of seemed like Oliver. It just seemed like Oliver. He was playing for a different team, and that was about it.
No, I sort of agree with you on that one. I mean, to be honest with you, it's funny enough. Watching the first trailer for Crisis on Earth X, I thought Overgirl was gonna be extra wiggity, bro. Like she seemed super corny, you know what I mean? Like like she had an interaction with Kara in the trailer, and it just seemed a little bit corny to me. But honestly, I think you're right. Like Oliver Queen from Earth X was a little bit weak, and it's not because Stephen Amell's a bad actor or anything. It's just that he seemed very much the same as Oliver Queen on our Earth. The only difference him being a Nazi. I mean, yeah, he's pledging allegiance to the fatherland and stuff, but I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of a sadistic Oliver Queen, somebody who sort of goes the extra step with the I like to murder, I like to kill thing.
And that's the thing. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but when they faced off, it was regular Oliver that was like, "I'm gonna kill you."
Right, exactly.
Wait, whoa. Which was he's the bad guy? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. You remember when Oliver in season 5 he admitted like, "Yo, I like killing." Adrian Chase got him to admit that. Prometheus got him to admit that. I would love to see like, Nazi Oliver Queen sort of embrace that. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I do love killing. I don't think that's a problem because as long as I'm doing it for what I believe in, the fatherland, whatever land I believe in, that's all that matters. And I just felt like he was a little bit too stoic. That being said, Oliver Queen on our Earth or on, the main Earth, Earth 1, spectacular, man. Okay. Pretty dope, man. I mean, he's over here doing his best to be Batman, man. I mean, where did he get that kryptonite arrow? I see Elijah Colbert ask that. Where did he get that kryptonite from, man?
I don't know. He saw Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel, right? He went to the Indian Ocean and he got himself a piece as well, I guess. That's the only answer I can come up with.
Because here's my thing, right?
And you're right. Because go ahead.
It's not confirmed whether or not Kryptonians. I mean, Kryptonians probably exist on Earth 1 because the Earths are just basically counterparts to each other. They probably exist in the Earth 1 like universe, not necessarily on Earth. They may not necessarily be on Earth, but as it stands, they haven't confirmed any sort of Kryptonians being on Earth or Krypton rocks for that matter. So I'm very curious as to where he got that kryptonite from. You know what I mean? Like, did he like hit up somebody from another Earth? He's like, yo, can I get some kryptonite? Like, FedEx overnight some kryptonite to me. Like, I understand that they were definitely going with like the Batman thing, where it's like, oh, I got the kryptonite in case Clark goes evil. But the main difference is like Batman and Clark can't exist on the same Earth. Like, it makes complete sense that he'd be able to get some kryptonite, but they haven't confirmed that on Earth 1. So I was wondering where he got that from, but I still think it was a nice touch.
Now I'm kind of thinking to myself, and this is probably wrong. This is probably way off base. Yeah. And I don't know too much about the history behind this in DC Comics, but what about synthetic kryptonite and how effective that may or may not be? Maybe that's what happened there. Maybe it's not actual kryptonite. Maybe it's manufactured. Maybe there's a possibility of that, or I don't know. I can't think of any other answer besides Cisco traveling to a different Earth and getting it for him. Maybe they worked behind the scenes. Because wasn't he working with Joe West at some point? Or am I wrong?
You know, I'm not sure. I think he was working with Joe West. I'm not sure where he would have gotten like the whole kryptonite thing from. Like, I don't know where you would have gotten like any of that from. Mm-hmm. But it's possible, you know, with his vibing powers. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know. You know, I mean, I feel like maybe it lacks a little bit of explanation. Yeah. But sometimes like, that's one of those things. There. Yeah, that's one of those things where I'm okay with it not actually being explained. Like, I'm just okay with it being part of the mystique of Oliver Queen. Because that's something Batman would do. Sometimes Batman just pulls something out of his ass and he's just like, where'd he get that from? It's like, yo, he's Batman. So, like, I'm okay with that. I think
someone in the chat brings up a good point, Jackson H, about Earth X Flash, which that character is in the animated prequel to this. Yeah. I'm blanking on the name of it. I think it's called The Ray, right?
It's called The Ray. Called Freedom Fighters The Ray.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a prequel or interquel or a sequel. I mean, I assume that it's a prequel, but you know, I haven't seen it yet personally.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out either, but that character is in that show. So that will probably answer that question, or what happened to that character.
Yeah. So Thawne being on, like, Thawne is not Earth X Flash, in my opinion. I think he's literally just the Reverse Flash. As you already know, he's from Earth 1. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's not like, he's not the Flash on Earth X. There is a Barry Allen on Earth X, or at some point there was a Barry Allen who is the Flash on Earth X. The trailer that we saw from Freedom Fighters The Ray confirms that there is a Flash on Earth X. So, like, that is not, they're not interchangeable there. Like, Eobard Thawne came from Earth 1, went to Earth X. He's the Reverse Flash of Earth 1 who just traveled over to Earth X to get his business done. But yo, I wanted to talk about that construction site scene.
Yes.
Where where Reverse Flash and Overgirl and Arrow, Dark Arrow, I don't know what he's calling himself, face off against, you know, our heroes, the Flash, Green Arrow, and Supergirl, and they basically rigged this construction site, and they go there, and Supergirl, Flash, and Green Arrow, you know, they save it together. Bro, that was one of the best scenes I've ever seen in Arrowverse. Case closed. Like, the way they were animating Green Arrow just made him look, that was more superhero-y than he's ever looked before, in my opinion, man. Yeah. Like, I felt like the way he was swinging around the building and sort of, you know,
they made him fit in.
They made him fit in, exactly. And there's a couple of scenes where, you know, it was clearly like sort of CG, where he was like, you know, moving around, and I was like, yo, honestly, I'm down with this. Like, it reminded me of like the way Batman moves and like Batman vs Superman and in Justice League. Like, it's sort of like this, like, I don't know. It's like he looked way more agile.
Yeah.
And I sort of like the way it looked, man. It sort of upped the game for Oliver Queen, despite acknowledging the fact that, you know, he's not as super as the rest. You know, him coming in the motorcycle while Flash and Supergirl were waiting for him was a pretty nice touch, man.
Yeah. But, I mean, during the whole time I was kind of wondering to myself, what are these construction workers doing working overnight? Isn't it a little too late for them to be working?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny because that's how I know we both equally lazy. Because when I saw that, I was like, yo, like, why are they working so late, yo? It's y'all fault for being there. Like, it's overtime right now. It's night. Don't be nighttime. When you go home, you have family. Go home, man. You put yourself in danger right now. You could get a splinter or something and working on a construction site. There's no need for that. But a question from Raw Feedback. Speaking of Raw Feedback, that's what we're doing right now. He says, what are they going to do with Firestorm? I feel like Stein will leave, but I don't know what they will do with Jax. Stein is definitely confirmed to be leaving. The actor who portrays Stein, Victor Garber, he's going to be leaving his role in Legends. Now, what are they going to do with Jax? Here's the thing about Firestorm, and DeepBoyce and I have made this point on, you know, various videos, and there's actually going to be another one that may even make that same point. But the thing about Firestorm is that it seems like they do everything in their power on Legends to keep Firestorm separate.
Yeah.
I think it might have to do with budgetary constraints. Just rendering Firestorm, creating Firestorm is just a little bit too much for the TV budget. Also, Firestorm is insanely powerful. Like, Firestorm is sort of like in terms of like being OP. Like, Firestorm is up there with like Martian Manhunter. Like, that's why Martian Manhunter has gotten nerfed on Supergirl. And even Andrew Kreisberg, the showrunner for the Arrowverse shows, had stated that Martian Manhunter was too powerful on a weekly basis to have him be at the strength that we know he can be at. So it is confirmed like he's purposely nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise with Firestorm, I think it just may have been or may be too expensive / it could just be too easy to have Firestorm come in and do damage. I mean, if you think about Legends, they've done like sometimes it's even irrational, but they have Stein and they have Jax separated, and it just sort of doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what they may do with the character,
sure.
I mean, they keep talking about how they're gonna create a way to trick the Firestorm Matrix so that he could just turn to Firestorm by himself. Maybe his Achilles heel, or rather his limitation from now on is gonna be that he can only be Firestorm for like a little bit because it's too unstable since it's just one of him, and they have like some sort of workaround. So we'll probably still see Jax as Firestorm during very special occasions, like Hazy said, because budgetary concerns. But I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's entirely their fault, because this is a character that kind of jumped from one show to the next, and then ended up on Legends of Tomorrow. And Legends of Tomorrow, the people there are probably like, oh man, what are we going to do with this character? We can't just... he's a problem to write into the story, because like you said, he's super powerful. So they just almost, we have to suspend our disbelief at this point. I don't know. Yeah. Because we asked this on the regular. Not just you guys, but we ask it as well.
Yeah, sure.
There were even times where we kind of talked to ourselves and said maybe they should just have him on The Flash again or some other show, or have him, put him on the bench for special occasions.
I mean, Dro Sim said something in the chat about them saying it would make Firestorm, not Firestorm for good. I mean, they've gone back and forth between that idea, because at first they were saying they would just give the Firestorm Matrix to Jax, then they couldn't figure that out, and then the new solution was that they would both be powerless. So they've sort of bounced back and forth between those ideas. Maybe it'll be some sort of happy medium where maybe Firestorm still exists, just maybe at a nerfed level. I mean, a nerf is something severely needed.
Maybe he doesn't fly around. Maybe he just is able to shoot fire. That's it.
Maybe he's able to shoot. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Maybe he's able to shoot fire. Maybe he doesn't have the flame head. Maybe they find a way to keep him as a meta, just not in the same fashion. Because I really do think the only thing I can think of is budgetary constraints and the fact that he's too OP. And it's a shame though, because Firestorm is probably one of the cooler characters. I mean, remember that? I think it was during season 1 maybe, where he took out, or he transmuted a nuke. I think it was. Yeah. Like that was one of the dopest scenes ever. Like that was pretty fantastic, man. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit tough. I mean, Elijah Colbert in the chat is saying bring in Jason Rush, who actually was introduced in the Arrowverse already. I'm not sure there's going to be a situation where
the evil guy.
Firestorm. Say that again?
Was that the evil guy?
No. He was a side character who sort of worked with Stein.
Gotcha.
At some point, and it was a very brief appearance from him. He's out there in the Arrowverse. It's just they're not pursuing that. It seems that they're not pursuing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough. It's tough seeing Firestorm go through that, because I think he's a really great character, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I like Jax a lot as well.
Yeah, and Jax has sort of been one of those characters who doesn't have anything to do on the Legends. Hate to say it, but it's true. Yeah. I mean, he's the mechanic, but often if you think about the people who've gotten like storylines, who've been at the forefront, because Jax has been tied down to the Firestorm character, and the Firestorm character doesn't get a lot of shine, he really hasn't had much to do. And, it's sort of a problem that, Firestorm has just really been a non-factor. Like, Firestorm has only been the ace in the hole for Legends, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sucks.
Pretty much.
It sucks to say, man. But
and you have a few other powerful characters there. I mean, like Ray Palmer, and again, same thing. Was he even in this?
No, he was not in this. He'll definitely show up in part 2. It seems like part 2, because somebody in chat asked this earlier, where the Legends were at, because the Legends were in I think it was the Middle Ages, I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, Middle Ages. So the other Legends are there right now. So like Ray Palmer's there, Bum-ass Citizen Steele's there, because we're not really big fans of Citizen Steele. Citizen Steele is there, Zari's there, Vixen is there. It seems like only Sarah and Mick came through. Not sure why Ray Palmer didn't come through. Him being friends with the Arrow team, I would think that he would have gone to the wedding, but I guess it's fine. But once Legends comes, at the very least, when Legends comes on, there'll be some reinforcements when the Legends episode airs. There'll be some reinforcements from the Legends. I mean, we've seen the characters. We've seen Adam. We've seen Citizen Steel in the promo materials. We've seen Vixen in the promo materials. They'll be there. Zari's there also. So like, don't worry about that. The rest of the Legends will come swinging by, and you know, that'll be that, man. But I mean, shout outs to the Marvel references, by the way.
I was, you know, somebody mentioned that in the chat. There were a lot. These shows do that more often than I would expect them to. And then we were talking about it in a private as we were watching. A lot of every commercial break had a Star Wars trailer.
Yeah. There was there was more mad Last Jedi trailers during this crossover. Yeah. Disney was like, yo,
I mean, look,
DC doing something? We get that ad money. They were just throwing out that ad money like it was nobody's business, man.
I mean, guys, let's be honest. I mean, you guys are all reasonable, chill people, but you know how it is out there in terms of the whole DC Marvel thing. DC and Marvel are much better terms than people even realize. They're like totally okay with each other. So guys, please just calm down out there. Those of you that are a little, you know, get a little heated over this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the fanboy stuff is exactly what it is. It's the fanboy stuff. DC and Marvel. They don't hate each other like that. Like they're always congratulating each other. In the past, there's been crossovers and things like that between both brands. So I mean, it's all love. And at the end of the day, in terms of all these ads and stuff being on, you know, the DC, you know, showing or something.
Disney's got a lot of money.
Disney got money. So if you're like, yo, let me throw some money at you and throw an ad in here, you know, it's fine. It's not like we were seeing like 10 ads for like Marvel movies. We just saw, you know, 1 billion ads for The Last Jedi. But those references in the Arrowverse, it seems like, you know, the Marvel pop culture references were really just a situation where those characters exist as sort of like in the same way they exist in our world, where they're just comic book characters or movie characters. Because even Stein said that, you know, in referencing Spider-Man and Jax's powers that he was trying to give him, he said he wouldn't be able to shoot webs from his subdermal wrist glands, something like that. Like, that's a direct reference to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, because that is the Spider-Man most well known for having, you know, webs shoot out of his wrist. Yeah. You know, organic spider webs, as opposed to synthetic, which is what Spider-Man normally has. But I mean, it's been an awesome ride. I see some people asking, particularly Joel Sims, and I don't want to go on this, you know, reaction without acknowledging it. You know, it's been a fun ride for Crisis on Earth X so far. People are asking, will Crisis on Earth X be better than Justice League the movie?
That's a can of worms. I saw that a couple times, and I'm like, I don't even want to touch that.
I can't touch that because it would be.
How about this? Look, it's free. So, well, I mean, we pay for cable, so maybe it's not free.
I mean, broadcast TV is free, dude. Crisis on Earth X is free. Yeah, as long as you have a TV and you have an antenna, it's free, dude. It's free, man. So I guess listen. I saw Justice League, man. It was a disappointment, but you know, to say, I mean, it's hard to say this, to ask the question: is this going to be better than Justice League? Because it's like,
how about this, Hazy? I'll give you this. I'll pose this question for you: Metallo or Cyborg? Who had the better CG?
Metallo.
The hard-hitting questions.
Yo, I ain't gonna front, man. Metallo. Here's the thing about Metallo. He looked good when you just saw him, but when he moved, he was moving like he was in the Wizard of Oz and he needed some order or something like the Tin Man. He was moving like boom, boom. He was doing his Ric Flair strut. I was like, man, this is kind of funny, but it still looked alright. Cyborg CG in Justice League did not look that great in my opinion. When I watched it, I was like, it took me out of the movie. I didn't really, you know, Cyborg was well done, but just the CG was a little questionable. Yeah. But at least it wasn't Cyborg bum ass Superman.
He should have been there.
I mean, nah, he doesn't need to be there. If he did show up, we needed the exact same treatment that happened to Jimmy Olsen at the end.
That's what I'm saying. They need casualties. That's what they should do with a lot of these, like, just characters they keep making out there. Just
absolutely
cannon fodder. Right. Just throw them out there. They're done in like 2 minutes. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. You're right about that. Also, speaking of Guardian, is it just me or did I notice that his suit seemed to have more of the classic Guardian color to it? Was that just me?
I don't know about the color. Maybe it was tough because the lighting is, I don't know. Earth X is in perpetual, just like Crimson Midnight or something. Just the lighting is just messed up on that planet. No wonder Supergirl's sick.
That sounds like the name of your first album, man. Crimson Midnight. DeepBoyce is coming. Check out DeepBoyce and SoundCloud, everybody. SoundCloud.com/DeepBoyce. It's gonna be fire, man. You won't need no heat in your apartment for the winter. Just put on that Crimson Midnight, everybody.
But I will say that costume looked better than the one that you usually see in Supergirl.
Yeah.
And the shield with the it looked like Captain America's shield from way back in the day, actually.
Yeah, I mean that shield does make an appearance in Supergirl. It's just that, like, I don't think we've seen Guardian suit up since Supergirl season 3 started, because Guardian is really like a footnote, and by a footnote I mean a butt note, because it's a bummer. So, oh, Jackson Harrod said Guardian had American flag colors. That's what it was. Oh, okay. It just the lighting for a second, like I couldn't get a good look at it, because you know the Arrowverse, they always just flashing from scene to scene.
Yeah. But
he had I thought there was sort of a star print on his chest.
Yeah.
But I would welcome a little bit more classic Guardian colors, maybe the gold and navy or something close to that, man. You know.
Or maybe, hey, Young Justice season 3, just throw him in there, bring him back.
I mean, he's already in season 2, so hey, he very well might be, and him being Mal Duncan is 10 times better than bum-ass Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl, man. I mean, when Jimmy Olsen died, that was probably the best thing I've ever seen coming out of Supergirl. Like, I may sound like a hater, but Jimmy Olsen has been sort of like a letdown for everybody. I think I'm not the only one who says that. I think everybody in the chat feels that way, man. Jackson Harrod said he can't wait for Cyborg Superman to save them from the concentration camp. They might actually be in a worse situation if Cyborg Superman comes to save him, because that guy is always up to no good, man. Cyborg Superman is, if anything, he'd probably be working with them, man. Bum-ass Cyborg Superman.
That actually brings something up. Any predictions?
Yeah. Any predictions for tomorrow?
I got a prediction. How this is all going to work out and who's going to save the day. It's going to be Wells the Gray.
DeepBoyce.
That's it. Stream's over. Stream's over.
Spoiler for tomorrow, everybody. Tomorrow, as I said, we're going to be doing our power rankings, our weekly one-shot, Arrowverse weekly one-shot, 10:15 Eastern time, right after the crossover finishes. We do top 5 power rankings, and we do top 3 bum-ass rankings. Number 3 on my bum-ass ranking will be DeepBoyce for that whack-ass joke. Okay. That was terrible, DeepBoyce. You're going on my bum-ass
No, we can't. We can't break the fourth wall like that.
I mean, one thing I will ask, in terms of putting stuff out there tomorrow, is that all of you guys show up right then and there. I mean, I see like 50 people watching. If you're enjoying this video, if you're enjoying this reaction, please feel free to drop a like on this video. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't, because you like us, and we cracking you guys up. We entertain you guys. So do what you got to do. In terms of predictions, do you think we're going to see you think we're going to see Don Allen get into the mix before things wrap up? Or do you think it's them setting something up for a future episode, or do you think it was just a one-off type of thing?
Man, I veered away from a very corny joke because I don't end up at number 2 on your bum-ass list.
By all means, DeepBoyce. Go ahead, son. I got the list ready. I got the list ready.
Saying, a lot of Dons there. Don Allen, maybe Don Johnson. We don't know.
DeepBoyce, man. Give me your prediction before I kick you out of here. Before I kick you out of the whole spoilers.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see Don or any Don of any sort. Or Don Juan, Don Magic Juan. No, nobody. We're not going to see.
This guy's a fool, everybody. He's a fool. He's a fool. I'm trying to save y'all from him. He's a fool, man. I can't.
I think they're going to save that. If not for some sort of surprise for the end of this season of Flash, maybe that'll be a plot point for the next season.
Okay. What do you think is going to be the outcome for Firestar, man?
In general, or like at the end of this crossover? You just mean
at the end of this crossover? Because that seems to be a plot line for this crossover in terms of what they might be tackling. So what do you think is going to happen on that end?
It would be interesting if Stein dies.
Wow, that would be interesting. Dirty if they kill Stein.
That would be an interesting move if they kill him somehow. And obviously they also, he's around a lot of smart people. They're figuring it out. They're figuring out how to kind of work out this Firestorm Matrix so he could do it on his own. But
I'm not sure I'd be okay with that, man. I feel like Victor Garber has done enough for the Arrowverse to get a nice ride into the sunset happy ending, man.
Yeah, because he's got to go back to his family. I think that's ultimately what they're leaning towards. So he's probably not going to die. But that was just me kind of thinking there being something of impact at the end of this. Because that's something that, with the exception of the first one, even though they kind of undid it, or Barry undid it, you know, everyone died, Vandal Savage killed everybody, and he just went back in time and redid everything.
Sure.
You know, like the last one with the Dominators, it just... Like if that didn't happen, then it's like it wouldn't have made much of a difference. With the exception of a few references to the Dominators, one at the beginning of this crossover, where Supergirl was fighting a Dominator. But really and truly, I would like for there to be some sort of lasting impact from this. So maybe Stein dying is too much, but I don't know. I don't know how they could go about it or what they're gonna do.
I've got mixed feelings because I sort of agree with you in that they need something to add some weight to the situation, but with Stein, I just feel like, you know, him having the grandson, him like not having a daughter, then the daughter, you know, sort of coming into the picture. I feel like I want Stein to just get that, you know what I mean? I want him to have that moment. You know, I feel like that it's tough because I can't disagree that bringing some emotional weight to the situation would be hurtful to the crossover. I think it might help.
Because I actually kind of liked what they did in this episode where Jax was like, yo, bro, I mean, I don't want you to go. And I was like, wow, that was actually kind of well done.
Yeah, that was really well done considering, you know, the whole reason why Jax ended up being a legend is because Stein drugged him and brought him on the ship. I thought that was a nice touch. I mean, I don't know about you guys, you know,
that was a low
I've never
point
been roofied by my father. You know what I mean? I know you're saying like, yo, you're like a dad to me. I'm like, yo, your dad's giving you roofies? Like, yo, that's not safe, bro. That's not a good look. But we're gonna take some questions from the leaguers out there. Yeah, let's do it up, man.
I mean, hold on. I like this comment from Mr. BP 2001.
Sure.
Spitting the truth. He doesn't know. He says Hazy doesn't know the power that Wells the Gray holds. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Listen, Mr. BP, you're absolutely right. I don't know the power that he has. I do know that he has the power to put me to sleep whenever he's on screen. But I guess I should give him credit for that. I'm sorry. I should give him to do it. Wells the Gray, you have some narcoleptic powers, and I appreciate that. I respect you, okay? I've been having sleeping problems. You cured my insomnia. Okay, get his bum ass out of here. All right, next question, okay? Dawn and Don probably in season 7 if there was a season 7. So VFX Lounge wants to know if we're going to see Dawn and Don in season 7. I honestly think we're going to see them in this season, personally. I think that either we're going to see them again in the crossover or it's going to be something that is set up in season 6 in a small way. Or season 6. I'm talking about Arrow right now. Yeah. Season 4 in a small way. I feel like we are going to see them again. Whether or not it'll be a big storyline or just a wink, wink, nod, nod type of thing. You know, I don't think that it's a one-off. If that's because that actress, I'm pretty sure she would fit right in with like everything that they're doing on these shows. Agreed.
Like, I think that's just the casting alone lets us know that we're going to see this character again to some capacity.
Right. So 2018 Xavier D636, that's a lot of numbers. He says, how will we deal with Thawne at the end of the crossover? What is his fate at the end? That's a good question.
I think he's going to run away. I think he's going to come out. He's going to escape unscathed.
Listen, guys. Thawne, long-term, is going to have a role in The Flash. And I'll tell you right now. The reason is because Thawne hasn't yet explained where his hatred for Barry Allen comes from. Barry had asked him at one point where it comes from. And he basically said, that's another story for another time. Before we see The Flash end, we will see Thawne again. And we'll find out why he hates Barry Allen so much. Yeah. I mean, the comics is because he's from the future and he loved Barry Allen. He was obsessed with the Flash. But then he found out that he essentially becomes the Flash's greatest enemy, and it drove him insane, and he became Eobard Thawne. Now, Eobard Thawne doesn't strike me per se as an insane person. I mean, he is sadistic. He is a sociopath for sure, but he doesn't. I mean, he's definitely not off the rocker in terms of like, you know, his mental faculties and intelligence. He's very intelligent. It's just that the craziness that him going off the rocker is really him becoming this sadistic sociopath. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy, one of the many paradoxes in Flash lore. So we're gonna get to see something along those lines. We'll find out why he hates Barry so much. So we will see Thawne again. I think DeepBoyce is right. I think he's gonna get away. I think he's gonna run away because that's what Thawne does, and that'll be that. You know what I mean? Whether or not, I mean, it's possible this version of Thawne dies too. You know, because there are just multiple versions of Thawne out there. Maybe he doesn't. I'm not sure, but we will see Thawne again for sure.
Here's a question over here from the Dogman.
Oh, what up?
What do you think about Heatwave and the crossover? Honestly, he was one of the characters that I kind of wanted to give a shout out to, just because I was just like, hey, that's my man is enjoying. He's making the most out of this whole event, this whole wedding.
Yeah.
Just drinking, eating, chilling.
Free food. Yeah, he's doing everything. He's trying to holler at Philip Ross. He's doing it all, man. He's doing it all, man. I mean, I think with Mick Rory, you know, honestly, he's not one of my favorite characters. But I just feel like he hasn't had a lot of growth. Ironically, season 3 sort of changed that for me, or it is changing that for me. Season 3 of Legends, and you know, I think he's honestly some good comic relief. I think the brevity that he's sort of like, he thinks he's sort of just cooler than any situation. It kind of adds some you know, some much needed humor to the situation, because it's like, yo, like, this guy is not one of these heroes, you know, hanging out, and he thinks they're all corny basically. And I don't know, it's just I think it's a cool look, man. I think it's a cool look, man. Let's see what other questions we can take. Jason Sotolo, he says, what do you guys think of Eddie killing himself for nothing? So yeah, man, Eddie Thawne cock blocked himself, which is probably one of the most funniest things you can see from somebody. My man shot himself in the chest to end it all. He was a hero, and it literally has turned into nothing pretty much. So what do I think of it? I think Eddie Thawne, you know, that was a worthy end for him, a worthy end for his character in the moment. But in hindsight, damn, Eddie, you got I mean, your girl is off marrying somebody else. You know what I mean? He's over marrying Barry. Your ancestor is still out there doing his thing as a living paradox. I mean, and also we saw Eddie Thawne's body just sort of float into that wormhole. So it's possible. I've always kind of thought Eddie Thawne may or may not be dead. Yeah. I've always kind of thought, like, listen, in comic books, if you don't see anyone die on screen, they're not officially dead. And even if you do see them die on screen, they could 100% come back.
Totally agree. I think that's a plot point that I would like for them to revisit somehow in the future. I don't know how they're going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be chilling at any time. He could be chilling on any Earth. It's entirely possible he's not dead. You know?
And maybe he goes bad. Maybe that explains, you know, the whole Eobard Thawne thing. You know, maybe him sacrificing himself, like you said. He looks back and he's like, wow, this is a raw deal. And look at my family, you know, generations from now. They're just all messed up.
Yeah.
For the Flash.
I mean, it'll be crazy, man. It'll be crazy, man. We got another question from MJ talking. I saw this question along this line from somebody else. He says, so what we see is Oliver the Führer. So he wants to know if Oliver's a Führer on Earth X. He couldn't tell. I don't think he's the Führer. I think he is someone high ranking. But I sort of think it was a little bit ambiguous as to whether or not he is the Führer. I'm not sure.
What makes people think that? I mean, maybe I missed something. Did they say something?
For starters, in the beginning, when he infiltrates that base that I assume they use to travel to other Earths, they say Hail Führer in his presence. There's a couple of times where they refer to him as the leader, and it's not necessarily clarified what his role is. I don't think he's the Führer. Well, I don't think he is.
There are various Führers. Like, sure. The top ranking is the Führer, but there are various categories. I don't speak German, but basically it'll be something Führer. Like, it'll be like all the ranks right below that. So he's probably high ranking. And I learned this because I was watching Man in the High Castle. And you know, there are characters that have different rankings, but these rankings are like one, you know, big German word and it ends with Führer. So like there's various rankings. So it's possible they're not, you know, they're just shortening it for the sake of brevity. So, I mean, it would be, I don't know, it's kind of odd that he would be the Führer in this world.
I don't think he's the Führer. I don't think it was ambiguous as to what his role is, but I do not think he is the Führer. A question from Ego Relic. Ego Relic, we got to bring you back into the present day. You missed part 1 of the crossover is the bad news. The good news is part 2 is going to be on the CW. I'm sure you can catch the crossover on CW Seed. It usually is up usually episodes are up the next day, so you might be able to catch it on the CW Seed app. There's a mobile app. You can watch it there, or the CW app. I don't remember which one it is. But yeah, the crossover is on the CW. It'll start tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And somebody had another question as to whether or not we're going to watch the crossover. We did watch the crossover, and tomorrow, once again, we will be live with Arrowverse Weekly One Shot, okay? We're going to be doing top 5 power rankings, top 5 characters. We're going to be doing top 3 bum asses for the week, and we're also going to be doing One's Gotta Go, which is One's Gotta Go Weekly, in which we eliminate one show from the week, which is the worst show in our opinion. I will say, somebody asked this earlier. I don't remember who it was. Somebody asked what I thought of the Arrow episode of the crossover. I agree. It was a little bit weaker than the first episode.
Yeah.
Than the Supergirl episode. I agree. It sort of fell off a little bit because I felt like the action was high impact, but it sort of downplayed the team banter a little bit. The team banter wasn't as good in my opinion, and so I think it took away from it a little bit. But it's still pretty good.
No, I was still enjoying it. I mean, obviously, also it's like 2 hours, so that could be a little tough to kind of sit down and watch through it. But it wasn't much of a burden for like a 2-hour experience, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens tomorrow. I also wanted to kind of highlight what Raw Feedback said, where he said he wanted to see more evil versions of the different characters, like Evil Cisco or something like that. That brings something up for me personally.
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say gender swap Earth.
No, but I do want that. I mean, we talked about that in the previous video.
Because I'm like, yo, I know you pretty well. I'm like, I know you want your gender. You've talked to me about
There is a gender swap. Occasions. There is a gender swap DC universe. It's out there.
Yeah.
And they actually kind of brought it back in the comics, sort of. But that's besides the point.
What do you actually want?
What I was saying is, given that, Raw Feedback wants to see what happened to the other counterparts, that kind of brings up to me, why are these characters evil? I would like for them to kind of explain what is the backstory, at the very least, of Evil Oliver and Ubergirl, who's Overgirl, who's the evil Supergirl. I hope that at some point they kind of
call it Evil Girl. That could work too.
Evil Girl. Is that what I said?
It's a little bit more straightforward, man.
Evil Girl. But yeah, I would like for them to, because they didn't really explain too much as to why these characters went bad in the first place. Besides, the Nazis took over. But I mean, a little bit of a backstory, a little bit, just kind of an insight as to what specifically happened. Is it just that they're bad because they grew up this way?
Sure.
Is that like kind of the lesson that they're trying to put out there? Because some characters are good. I mean, Jimmy Olsen in this world, or maybe I guess because he's black, and then obviously he's not welcome in that Nazi universe. So that probably makes sense.
It's actually a really good point. That might have been intentional. I didn't think about that. It's true.
Yeah.
I was like, why would a black guy work with the Nazis? Doesn't really make any sense. It's a good point. Good point. I mean, the way I thought of it was, I just thought of it sort of as a Superman Red Sun situation. That's the classic comic book story where instead of Superman landing in Smallville, Kansas, he lands in the middle of Soviet Russia, and he essentially just grew up to be a product of his environment. And if you're familiar, we're almost every average American is somewhat familiar with World War II and the Nazis and stuff. And I think that it's if these characters are growing up in a militaristic organization, I think it's okay to assume that they're just a product of their environment. And I think it's also important for them that they don't think that they're necessarily evil. Yeah. They feel, and this is something they've represented in the crossover, they feel they're doing the right thing to spread the imperialism of their Nazi regime to not just the Earth that they conquered, but now to other Earths. So to them, they don't think of themselves as evil. Yeah. They think they're the right ones. And I think that's important to sort of realize.
It brings up an argument of subjective versus objective good and evil, I guess. Maybe the characters I have. Because obviously, listen, objectively, subjectively, Nazis ain't good. No way to put it. Right. No other way to put it. But for the heroes, I don't know. I could see this maybe an Arrow where he kind of has introspective moment, and he's like, "What if I would have grown up like that? Like what makes me different from this guy, other than the fact that he grew up there and I grew up here? You know, like what greater good am I fighting for? Like, what is it that I really truly stand for on an objective level? You know what I mean?
But I also think that they're also questioning that a little bit, where you see, you know, Thorne questioning Oliver's loyalty to the fatherland versus the loyalty he has to his wife, you know, Overgirl. You know what I mean? So I think that we do see a little bit of that being challenged too. But Juliana Wallace, she asks, "Are you happy that Citizen Bumass wasn't in tonight's part of the crossover?" Juliana Wallace, man, it's HazyRome. The smile says it all, baby. I'm not Citizen Bumass. I mean, the thing he does on Legends is just his lines are just he doesn't have anything to contribute ever. Just like, oh yeah, random thing about history that I'm gonna geek out about. Oh, I'm gonna be a carbon copy of Ray Palmer. I've had enough of him. Alex Cantano, I hope I pronounced that right. Caetano. He says, "I like Jimmy Olsen as a character."
In general, in this crossover,
I'm sorry, but for me, Jimmy Olsen is just sort of underused, and I feel that. And whenever they give him something to do, it always makes him look super corny, and it sucks because he could be a cool character. And it's interesting that they gave him the Guardian persona, but
yeah,
it sort of comes out to be a waste. But Devontae Smith, he says, "Do you think we will get to see the heroes of Earth X like Uncle Sam and Dowman?" That's a good question, man. What do you think about the Ray is obviously gonna make his debut in part 2, Boyce. Do you think we'll see the other people he works with? Uncle in the comics, you know, he's got Uncle Sam, he's got Dowman, he's got Black Condor. That's definitely confirmed via the Freedom Fighters animated CWC series. Red Tornado is another one. Hopefully he doesn't look like the bum ass version that was on Supergirl in season 1. Jeez, man. Look like he took my carpet from my living room and made a suit out of it. But what do you think, man? You think we're gonna get to see them?
The Ray, yes. I mean, like you said, he's confirmed. We'll see him. Honestly, if you asked me, I'd only really like to see Black Condor.
Okay.
I think that's really the only one. You know, Red Tornado, they tried to do that already. He looked like a Christmas ornament. It didn't quite work out. I don't think we necessarily have to see him. And like Uncle Sam, I don't know. It might take me out.
A little bit corny.
It might take me out.
A little bit too on the nose for the story they're trying to tell. You know what I mean? I think it's a little bit on the nose, man. You know what I mean? Personally.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Just Black Condor. Just throw him on there, and then any idea like if the Ray's going to be in anything else?
Yeah.
Or is it just that they're just going to throw him in there just for the crossover?
I think the fact that they casted a live action counterpart, I think there's always potential to see him again.
Legends,
I think there's always potential.
Probably in Legends.
A good chance. I think the right place for him to be is probably Legends. It is also a possibility they decide to spin off the show and give him his own series. You know, Man in the High Castle is a show that's been referenced on the crossover, is obviously doing well. That may be something cool that they could do for TV, possibly. I don't know.
True.
I think that we're definitely the fact that there's a live action counterpart. We saw this with Vixen too. Megalind Echikunwoke is the actress who plays Vixen in the CWC series. She also plays the live action version. You know, in addition to Maisie Richardson, who plays the Amaya Legends of Tomorrow version. Funny enough, that version of Vixen in Legends of Tomorrow was actually supposed to be present-day Vixen, but Megalind Echikunwoke had some contractual obligations with some other roles she was playing. It was unable to fulfill that obligation, so that's how the character of Amaya, Vixen's grandmother, was created, and thus we have all that. But last question for tonight. If you guys have more questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. We're gonna upload this video to YouTube, so feel free to ask any questions you may have in the comment section, and we'll try to get to them. I mean, but the last question I'm gonna take is from, I lost the question, but I'm gonna find it. It was a decent question. Oh yes, it was the Kryptonite Arrow questions from Oliver Queen. If you had to guess, DeepBoyce, where do you think he got the Kryptonite from? What is your best guess for where he got the Kryptonite from?
Well, someone in the chat made an interesting point, I guess in reference to the comics, that in the DC universe, Kryptonite only affects Kryptonians from that universe. So like if you take kryptonite from Earth 1 and you know try to use it in Earth 2, it's not going to affect the Kryptonians there.
Okay.
So it's that even. I mean, we talked about it earlier, and that makes it even more confusing if that is the case, if that's the continuity that they're going with, because Oliver never went to Earth X, so that's maybe probably that we know of. True. But I honestly think that's out of the window.
Sorry. I don't think he went to Earth X.
No, most likely, in my opinion, I think this is a slight, I guess, Easter egg or admission that Kryptonians are a thing in the Arrowverse, or in Arrow Flash universe, Earth 1, I guess, right? Since they already confirmed Bruce Wayne, Batman, then I'm pretty sure there are Kryptonians to some capacity. I mean, there's no Superman. They haven't really mentioned him. So, since I'm on the spot, I can't think of any other kind of way that they could kind of finagle this.
Yeah. For me, I think that, it's a good idea. I didn't think that maybe it confirms that Earth 1 does have some sort of Kryptonians. Mm-hmm. I could very well see Oliver saying, hey, man, about those other Earths, man, I'd love to check it out one day. And I could totally see Cisco vibing him to another Earth and just randomly and then Oliver just going off on his own and getting kryptonite just because, Oliver's sneaky like that. So that would be a side adventure they obviously haven't elaborated on, and I don't think that there's a good chance we may never see it elaborated on. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to say. I mean, you said earlier on in this talk that maybe it was a synthetic, kryptonite, creation that Oliver made up. Mm-hmm. It would have to be a situation where they somehow got some of Kara's DNA. It's entirely possible that they somehow snagged some of her DNA in her fight against the Dominators. It's entirely possible that there's a situation where Supergirl needed a blood sample or something from Star Labs, mm-hmm. or needed some of her blood analyzed, or needed something analyzed for her from Star Labs, and Felicity took a trip to Star Labs, got the information, gave it to Oliver. I mean, they've done that before in the shows where they'll say, oh yeah, by the way, I spoke to Felicity and I got this information from her. So mm-hmm. it's entirely possible that it could have been something that was just sort of a chain of events.
And two additional points. I mean, Jason Tatello in the chat makes a good point that Harrison Wells or Harry or one of them mentioned that the Earths vibrate in different frequencies. Like that's confirmed in the DC universe or in the Arrowverse rather.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a possibility that the kryptonite, again, for it to be effective, it has to be from the universe of origin of that Kryptonian. Yeah. However, in this crossover, Metallo, wherever they got that character from, is probably from Earth X. Most likely from Earth X, with kryptonite from Earth X, and it affected Supergirl, who's not from Earth X.
Correct.
So maybe they're taking that concept and they're just throwing it out of the window, that kryptonite in general, regardless of universe, affects Kryptonians. So
I mean, Oliver shot Overgirl clean with that arrow.
Yeah.
So we don't know where it's from, but it's pretty. I mean, it's a very low chance that Oliver had gotten kryptonite from Earth X. Mm-hmm. So it's very clear. Like he shot her clear in the arm. With that, with his kryptonite arrow. So I don't think it's a situation. I don't think they're complicating it with kryptonite from different Earths. Only if it affects certain Kryptonians from that very Earth. I don't think it's that case. Like I really don't think that's the case. It also, to me, it also just sort of just adds some extra layer of convolution that's really not necessary.
What if he? I mean, he's not in this Martian Manhunter, but maybe Oliver got in contact with Martian Manhunter. He could be someone else that has kryptonite on hand.
Yeah, I mean, we know he has kryptonite on hand because that was part of the crux of the argument between Martian Manhunter, the sort of the animosity between Martian Manhunter and Superman, mm-hmm. On Kara's Earth, because Martian Manhunter kept kryptonite around, and Clark did not appreciate that. But Martian Manhunter was like, "Yo, like if you go rogue, man, we sort of need your help." It's possible, maybe you're right. Maybe Martian Manhunter got in touch. Somehow they got in touch with Martian Manhunter, and he was like, "Listen, I completely understand that," because it could be a situation where like, "Yo, Kara is good on your Earth, but what if on our Earth Kryptonians come and they invade and we can't find them back?" It's entirely possible. And Martian Manhunter was like, I feel you on that. I'll give you some kryptonite. You know, if they got in touch with him. It's tough to say. It's tough to say.
And Jackson H provides another possibility. Firestorm maybe could have synthesized it.
That's possible too. That's possible too, because you know, Firestorm can transmute, you know, items. So I mean, that's a possibility. Once again, I just don't think that's very likely, just because they don't show the transmuting ability very often. Yeah. With Firestorm, and you know, I feel like that would have came out. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know where he got it from.
So I guess to answer it, most likely, Oliver got it from Earth 38, from where Supergirl's from.
Yeah, I think that's a good chance. Most likely. And honestly, guys, it's just the Batman moment. It's just them winking at Oliver Queen being very much like Batman was like, yo, it doesn't matter where I got it from. I got it because it may have been necessary, and it did turn out that it was necessary. I will say this: Overgirl sometimes shrugged off that Kryptonians, that Kryptons, that kryptonite stuff on occasion. Like I felt like there were times where, like when she caught Oliver's arrow, like I was like, she snapped it. I was like, does this version of Supergirl not get like super weak against kryptonite? Because there's some versions where, like, you know, a superpower, like a super, you know, whether it's Superman or Supergirl, encountered kryptonite and they just fall to the floor. Like she had the kryptonite in her hand, she was just like, you know, she didn't even throw it away. She kind of just dropped it, and I was like, yeah, you know, that's kryptonite. Metallo came and stood right next to her, and she didn't go like, like she just was kind of like, yeah, well, sure, do your thing, Metallo. I'm like, Metallo is that's gonna affect you too. You know what I mean? So, especially, I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Jackson H mentioned this. She's supercharged by solar energy.
I was literally about to say that. I was literally about to say she's supercharged by solar energy, so it's possible that she sort of has a little bit more resistance to kryptonite. So yeah, that's a good point, Jackson H. You know, thank you for bringing it up. But yeah, guys, we're gonna end things here. Once again, if you have any questions, first of all, if you're watching this and you enjoyed this, you need to drop a like on this video. Help us get this video out there. The Spectacular Spoiler League needs your support. It needs your help. Join us tomorrow for Arrowverse Weekly One Shot. As I said before, as I said many times in the stream, top 5 power rankings, top 3 bum-ass characters. One's got to go weekly, where we eliminate one episode from the week, and we also keep one episode from the week as the best episode. And show some support to the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button and hitting that little bell icon so you can know whenever we go live for live streams, and you can be up to date with the latest and greatest coming from the Spectacular Spoiler League. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section of this video when it goes live. We do our very best to answer you know, as many comments as we can. Sometimes we don't get to all of them, but thank all of you guys for coming out tonight. I hope you guys really enjoy the crossover, and I hope you guys have a really, really fun night tomorrow, and I hope you guys return tomorrow for the weekly one shot. That being said, me and DeepBoyce, we're getting out of the Hall of Spoilers. We're gonna go find Citizen Bum-Ass some good lines for the crossover part 2 tomorrow, so that he doesn't disappoint all of us when the show premieres. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.